Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bells Must Ring podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Rice, here with my usual co host, Arnav Sarkar. A lot of happenings in the world of Rutgers athletics over the weekend. Not a lot of good happenings in the world of Rutgers athletics over the weekend.
Huh.
No, but we're here to talk about all of it. We're going to start off with Rutgers loss to Ohio State, 42-9. Um, Contrary to the score, at least I believe there was a lot of positive things to bring out of this game. The defense looked better, pretty much across the board. I want to say it was the first six drives of the game. They only let up two touchdowns. Eventually, that dam is going to break. You are still playing Ohio State. If the offense does not move the ball,
Right.
then if the offense does not move the ball, the dam is going to break no matter what. But two things I did see that was very promising was, first of all, the defense just stepped up all around. Now, it should be noted that Ohio State was without Jeremiah Smith and Cornell Tate, but it almost like that doesn't even matter because Ohio State should be leaps and bounds above this defense anyway. And the fact
Yeah.
that they were able to drag them down in the mud really speaks to the defensive effort and how much the defense has improved since the beginning of the season. And then on the flip side of everything, the offense had plenty of opportunities to move the ball down the field. I like the aggressiveness. Not something that we see out of a Shiano coach team all that much. A lot of the times it feels like they're playing not to lose the game, but the aggressiveness in this game kind of dissuaded that feeling where he felt like we're going to need as much chances as possible to pull off this win. I'm hoping that he has a similar approach going into Saturday, where even though we are playing for something, I think he should go in there with the house money mentality. Throw
Right.
everything but the kitchen sink to earn bowl
Yes.
eligibility.
Yeah.
So, but ugly loss that had a couple promising factors to it. What did you think about Rutgers' game against Ohio State?
Yeah. Ohio, big difference because we did play Ohio earlier this year too, and that was also kind of an interesting one as well. But yeah, this one, it feels like it's like the reverse almost of Ohio and Miami of Ohio because it's like they were kind of like the underdogs that were playing kind of with house money and playing a team with more talent in a different state, and now then we go over to their state and play a team that has that much more talent and we're the underdogs. So it's kind of almost like roles reversed, and that's kind of how the game played out where Rutgers was like, the scrappy underdog trying to stay in it. But unlike those two games, it was a little bit of a different flavor because it was a lot more low scoring, I think, all around until Ohio State started to put the gas, on the pedal, or whatever the saying is. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I mean, like, the offense just couldn't get going. The defense looked a lot better. I mean, they held Ohio State to 14 points on the first six drives. They forced three fumbles on the day, including the first drive. They forced a fumble. They got the ball back, and then that was a big decision that they ended up making, where they ended up going for it on the fourth down. They got stopped, and then they ended up basically running the same play. So they tried to draw Ohio State off sides, didn't work, and then they ended up running. I don't really hate the decision to go for it there because, I mean, how many possessions are you going to get? Especially you're so close to the line. I mean, a lot of coaches probably would punt it there, but against number 1 Ohio State, you don't really have a lot to lose. Like,
Again,
yeah,
house money
like
mentality, right?
yeah, exactly, right? But I just would have liked. I mean, once you do the whole hard count thing, then I think you should punt it. Or even if you bring the offense back on the field, running it up the gut with Raymond, I just don't think was the right call. I mean, Ohio State's run defense, basically like they pushed the pile back, so it's like they win. Like I said during the game, they win the snap like before the tackle's even made, which is just, I mean, incredible to see that in motion. But and on top of that, Ohio State expected that play to happen. I mean, I just, even though it's like half a yard, I wish Rutgers would have had like a trick play there, or something around the side. Like, I just didn't see that being the right strategy. But I don't know. I mean, maybe like they thought they could get the yard. So I mean, yeah, I mean, Ohio State just dominated on I mean, really on defense, Rutgers could not get going. I mean, the receivers, Cagmanis didn't have enough time to throw. I mean, the three receivers, they were blanketed too. So it's just there's pressure on him when he got the ball out. They weren't able to complete the passes. Antoine Raymond wasn't really able to run the ball that well. Neither were the other two running backs because again, the Ohio State run defense. But yeah, I mean, eventually Ohio State was able to start scoring. It was 14-3 mid third quarter, but I mean, I think that's about as close as I was gonna get for the rest of the day. Eventually, the dam broke, and Rutgers even then, like they were at the 1 yard line, Ohio State, and Rutgers forced them to third down and 11. And then that was like okay, maybe they can get another stop, but eventually, I mean, Ohio State kind of ran a pick play there for tight end Max Clare, who ended up getting open because they basically screened the defenders out of the play. So, yeah, Max Clare had a pretty good game. Again, you're right. No Jeremiah Smith, no Cornell Tate. So that obviously plays a big role in things. Brandon Ennis had a touchdown. But overall, I mean, Rutgers stayed in that game with the Buckeyes for a lot longer than I thought they were going to, but they couldn't get anything really going on offense. And yeah, they probably wouldn't have if the starters played the whole game either. So the last touchdown coming at the end, I mean, it seems like everybody's able to kind of get that last second touchdown or, like towards the end of the game. And
to be fair, say what you want. Ohio State was only giving up 7 points heading into this game, and we scored 9. So
we scored 9. Yeah, the last few weeks people have been scoring like 10, but usually those are garbage time touchdowns, like UCLA, Purdue. A lot of teams have scored more than 7, but not too much more, and some teams haven't even scored that much. So I mean, yeah, for us to be able to get in the end zone, obviously, not the easiest feat against them, but that we were able to get one with their backups in the drive. So I mean, yeah, I mean it was quite some effort at the end there. I mean, we were able to get a touchdown. Antoine Raymond scored, so Rutgers was able to move
it
the
was
ball.
nice to see him score after having a rough day too, because really, they could not get anything going in the ground game. I mean,
Yeah, nothing.
35 carries for 66 yards just as a total. That includes Benjamin, Caligmanis, Brown, Raymond, everybody. So it was really nice to see the Raymond, after getting completely stuffed time and time again, being able to score. But that was, you can't have that against Penn State coming up this week. We need to be able to run the ball. We need to get Raymond going and early. I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't think Penn State's defensive line is too much of a pushover, but it'll be interesting to see, definitely.
Yeah, no, it should be interesting. And I guess like another thing that was interesting was how close my score prediction was to hitting because I think I might
Oh, okay. Now we're gonna
I had to say that
stroke your
today.
ego. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think, I think Greg one time got pretty close as well, but I mean, like, I think it might have been the closest all year, like with the 1 point, being 1 point off. And I mean, I would have had it too if Graciano didn't decide to go for 2. And that's another thing I was still kind of wondering, like, what exactly was his rationale in going for 2 in that position? Because you're obviously you're not really going to be able to win the game, even with a million onside kicks. But I mean, there's, I guess either they're trying plays for next week, or it's even more nefarious than that. And Greg Schiano's just trying to put extra things on tape for Penn State to worry about. I have a feeling it's more the second one where they might just run a different 2-point play than the one they put on tape, or they might not run one at all and they're just trying to mess with Penn State. I don't know. I mean, it could be that they're trying things out,
I
but it
think it
just
was
seemed
obvious
really
that he was trying to cover the spread.
that it could have been that too, actually, yeah. But it's probably I don't know. Like I mean, I would assume they were trying a play, but judging how badly the play went and it got intercepted, they're probably gonna have to try a different play next week anyway. So I mean, it's one of those things. But yeah, I mean, Greg Schiano always has some trickery. He always does things that you don't expect during the game, like like the fourth down thing where kept the offense on the field. I mean, and then again run it up the middle. So there's always like some sort of unexpected element. And
Well, to be fair, he should not. He should never have ran it there because he
yeah,
knows that the offensive line was getting blown up every
yeah,
play.
yeah,
At the very least, you should be running it to the inside. He should have
Right.
ran it to the outside
Outside, yeah.
or thrown the ball. Maybe even play action. That would have
Yeah, fake
been
run
hard.
or like yeah, I mean, even like I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the tush push thing would have worked there. I mean, that seems like the
No,
right driving distance, but not
but
against
let's
Ohio
remember that we're
State.
not the Philadelphia Eagles. To me, that when we run that play, it's so gimmicky. It doesn't even
It
work half the time.
That's true. We're not Philly. I mean, I liked when they had the, whatever the Fumblerooski play where they run it to, around the edge that they did in the bowl game. I mean, that would, or they even had that one against Ohio State. I think of the
Oh, the
Bosch
double
handoff.
snap, you mean?
Yeah, the
Not
one.
the Tumblerooski, the double snap.
Oh yeah, the one where Wimsa ended up picking it up off the handoff and then just took off or whatever it was.
No, so it was the center snapped it, and Anton and Gavin Wimsatt snapped it again, essentially, to Kyle Monungai, who ran around the outside.
Right, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it went
Yeah.
through the legs of Wimsatt, and then Monangai picks it up and almost scores a touchdown against Ohio State on that play too. So,
Oh, what
yeah,
could
I
have
mean
been?
that also was against Ohio State. So, something like that, like maybe like an end around or something creative, like that was just not. Yeah, I don't know. That was I don't hate the decision to go for it in that spot, like I said, but the play call was just too predictable in that spot. Like that was just not going to work against Ohio State run defense with 300-pound like defensive tackles like that are just bigger than like almost any other team. So it's just I just that wasn't the best idea. But the 2-point play, I mean, I hope it was just that they were just trying things. I mean, I really don't like the idea of like, oh, we're trying to trick Penn State, but I mean, who knows what it is. I mean, if it is that, then maybe they have something else in mind that they're going to run this week in terms of the 2-point plays. I mean, is that even going to come up this week? I don't think so, but if it does, it does. You never know. In the last game of the season, Greg Schiano's probably going to try to throw the entire kitchen sink. I mean, you might as well burn the playbook. I mean, there's, right, like you need to win the game to get to another game. So, and that game's a bowl game, right? So, they probably won't play. I don't know what the plan in the bowl game would be. I mean, if they're going to play starters or not. Last year they did, so it was a pretty entertaining one. But the first priority is the bowl game or getting to a bowl game, beating Penn State, which, I mean, putting Penn State in there makes this game that much even bigger. So a lot of reasons why Rutgers needs to win and, or needs to at least do everything they can to win the game.
Do we
Because,
want
yeah,
to
I
get
mean,
in?
Penn State looks pretty good all of a sudden too. They've kind of turned things around. So we'll see how things go. But I mean, in terms of Ohio State, yeah, 42-9 looks like a bad score line, but when you really look at the game, I mean, they're in the game in the third quarter. If they got a stop there, it would have probably been 17-3. It's just they couldn't generate any offense to really make that game interesting because they would have needed to do that.
Do we want to get into all the narratives behind this game? Because
There's so
or the
many.
storylines rather, because there are a lot of storylines. Number one, obviously, Rutgers versus Penn State. Number two, winner take all with the loser getting left out of December football, the winner going to a bowl
Mm-hmm.
game. Number three, Shiano wins this. It's actually his 100th win as a head
Yeah.
coach, or as a head coach of Rutgers. And then number four is it snaps the 17-game losing streak. I don't think you could possibly come up with any more narratives than that. I mean, whether or not those narratives and storylines affect what actually happens on the grass is a different story.
Right.
Personally, I think, you have to beat them eventually. You play them 100 times, you'll win 10 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to happen eventually. And I don't like
Mm-hmm.
to be like that guy that's like, oh, they're due, and it's no. Like,
Yeah, the
no.
matchup still has to be played. Like the storylines sound great, like his 100th win, but more importantly, I mean, 5-6, 5-6, 17-game losing streak, bowl eligibility on the line. Like it just doesn't get better than this, and that's even before you throw in who we're playing, which is Penn State. Even then, it's like such a huge game, and then now you add that wrinkle to it, and the fact that Penn State's had quite the topsy-turvy season. They're going for a bowl game. Rutgers is going for a bowl game after, again, starting 3-0, losing 4, winning against Maryland, Purdue, keeping things alive. I mean, which way do you want the story to finish? So it's do or die time against kind of a team that they haven't beaten in a while, but yet, kind of has a special place in Rutgers fans' hearts. I guess I'll just put it that way. And obviously, Saturday should be a fun environment for sure. Probably a lot of Penn State fans will probably, I'm sure, make the trip. A lot of Rutgers fans, I'm sure, will be there, be extra passionate and loud, and that should be a really good environment. But it's a playoff elimination game, basically, is what it is. So I mean, can Rutgers pull it off? Though I mean, all these storylines aren't going to affect what's going to happen on the grass. And I don't know. I mean, I think on one hand, Rutgers has been kind of an unpredictable team, but I mean,
We have been. Well,
yeah,
to be fair, we've also been the team that, when there was like a small window of like opportunity,
we kind of didn't take it. So let's.
No, we did. That's the thing. But we let the window get that small in the first place.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, because of that big stretch that we pointed to all off season where they didn't beat Iowa. They're in that game also. I don't know. I mean, again, Iowa scoring 38 points, just doesn't really sit right.
Does not sit right with me.
I mean, it's Iowa. I mean, but again, everybody was able to run the ball, including them, and the offense just wasn't as good as they were. They weren't opportunistic, and they weren't clutch, and the defense just got gashed on the ground, and they lost a really fun blackout game. And obviously that spurred my favorite piece of all time, like Stop Worshiping Iowa, but that's another story. But after that, Minnesota too, like, I mean, a game where Rutgers probably even more than Iowa should have won, had the position to win it, and then snap the ball through, or at least tie it, and then snap the ball so badly that it went out of Patel's field goal range, and then Dane Bizarro misses, when he should have never been on the field in the first place. So, and then from there, it just, became worse and worse. I mean, Washington looked less competitive. Oregon was humiliating. But yeah, you're right.
To be fair, the competition also did just get better and better.
That's true. I mean, yeah, when you're going from, the MAC teams in Norfolk to Iowa to Minnesota, Washington even better than that. Oregon, another level of good. I mean, we've seen what they can do.
Minnesota, they should have beat.
They should have beaten Minnesota. That's the one I think that they should have been able to win. I mean, Minnesota's okay. They're not all that great.
I told you, like, especially when Shiano goes on the mic and said, with the difficulties of playing in a hostile environment.
Oh, yeah.
I was so livid after that because, again, I understand that playing away from home is not easy, but it does not excuse the fact that you go into an opponent's stadium and wilt like that, and an opponent's stadium is not even known for being that loud. It's not like they went to go play Penn State in the whiteout, which if we're ever good enough to go play Penn State in the whiteout, are we just gonna have false snaps every play? It does not matter how loud.
No.
Figure it out.
Right.
Like, it does not matter how loud the opponents are. Figure it out and win the game. There's no excuse.
It's weird because, it's like the path of bowl eligibility was basically as we described. And the thing is, they had to win one of those games that was unsure. Like, the idea that everybody had, I think, was, Ohio, and as good as they're in the MAC, we should win. Miami, Ohio, same thing. Norfolk, we should win. Iowa, Minnesota, and Washington are like toss-up-y. But there's no guarantees because they're kind of, same tier, maybe a little better, maybe a little worse, but no guarantees. And then Purdue and Maryland, we should win. And that's pretty much, that's kind of what happened, except for the only thing that didn't happen is beating one of those three teams in the middle there. And then Oregon was like, forget about it. That's kind of what happened. Purdue was very tough, probably tougher than people anticipated, even though Purdue ended up just about as bad. But, Rutgers was also a bit worse. Illinois, a loss. I think people expected that. I don't think people expected to be blown out the way they were. Weird, but okay. I mean, Rutgers offense, I don't know. They didn't have a great game that game. Maryland, they won. That was surprising. Again, backs against the wall type situation, but they were able to
I don't know if that Maryland win was so surprising, but they really, the way they just took it to him in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I thought like there was definitely a chance they could win the game, but I didn't expect them to completely dominate. I mean, that was like, I mean, Raymond
Yeah.
had a monster game. Obviously, that was the main reason. But I mean, even the passing game was, very good, which again shouldn't be too surprising. But what was probably more surprising was how good the defense was, and they basically they got stops they needed to. Maryland also struggled a ton in the pass. In the run, they actually did really good, which
But
is kind of the problem here. But yeah, I mean, they were able to get that win. I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, I guess
but
to the cat,
if you take this current Rutgers defense and you move them to the October games,
right,
we probably beat Minnesota.
yeah.
We
I
might
mean,
beat
that's
Iowa.
probably yeah, because we needed some stops, and they were able to come up with stops against Ohio State, and like even
Exactly.
Ohio State now without Smith and Tate, but still, I mean, that's still
And
an Ohio
Ohio
State
State
team.
without Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate is still more talented across the board than an Iowa or a Minnesota.
Right. I mean, they still got like receivers, good receivers.
Their backup
Yeah,
receivers could go and be a starter on that team.
exactly. Especially on like a team like Iowa. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely. But
Yeah.
in Minnesota too, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, Ohio State kind of relied on Max Clare. He had a really good game. Bo Jackson had a really good game on the ground, 2 touchdowns, 110 yards. I mean, yeah.
And even then, he wasn't a world beater. And in
No.
reality, he got
Yeah.
40 yards on that first drive and then 60 yards after
That's
that.
true. The first drive he was definitely cooking, and James Peoples ended up having the late touchdown to get to 55 on 3 carries. Isaiah West had 8 carries, 48.
Wait, 55
Um,
on 3?
yeah, but one of them was I think like
Jeez.
a 40-yard touchdown or something like that too. So yeah, and
Well,
then
yeah.
yeah, the rest at the end in the other and then Lincoln Keenholz had 3 carries, 37 yards. They kept switching him in and out with Sayan, which was kind of weird too. But I guess because
Well,
Sayan
they
is
always do that.
yeah, Sayan's such a pocket passer, and Keenholz is a bit more of a mobile quarterback, which is I think why they did it so often because they were trying to take an advantage there, but kind of didn't, or just spark something. It kind of worked, didn't really work too well, but I mean, yeah, I mean, what was I
But
gonna
it
say?
didn't
AJ
not work,
Race.
so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Keenholz like didn't do a ton, but he had one pass for 19 yards. He had some rushes that was pretty good. Some took off in open space. Fourth quarter was kind of a backup duel. A lot of handing the ball off, but from both Keenholz and AJ Race, who we haven't
Again,
really, yeah.
why bring him into the game if you're not going to let him throw the ball? Like, it just
That's
doesn't make any sense.
that's what I'm saying, and I think we both heard this on the night report, but I completely agree. Why are we bringing him in if he's not gonna? He hardly like what's the point? Like why would you? I don't know. I mean that doesn't make either they don't trust him yet, or I mean I don't know what the or is honestly. Like they don't want to put anything on film.
I
Like
just
I don't know, but that
Well,
doesn't
to
even
be
make
to
sense.
be fair, I don't think they want to trot him out against Ohio State, have him, throw a couple passes, and either number one get sacked, number two throw a pick, or
Right.
number three just make them all incomplete. They don't want to
Yeah,
send him out there and
that's true. Like shatter his confidence.
shatter
Yeah.
his confidence. But then I ask again, why send him out?
Who knows? They probably
Why
just want to
send
get
him
Kyle
out?
McManus some rest or something. Is probably all it is in that position or something like that. But yeah, I mean, same thing. Even when he played against Oregon, it was kind of a lot of the same. Norfolk State, I guess he actually did get the chance to throw the ball, and he found Dino Cagmanis for a touchdown. So there was some fun there. But I guess what we hope for is we don't want to see any backups on the field this week because if that happens,
No, you see, I hope that we do see backups on the field this week. I hope we beat them so bad that we throw
yeah,
our backups in at
one of
the
two
end.
things. I mean, either we beat them so bad or they beat us so bad that backups are warranted. But yeah, I mean,
No, no,
hopefully
no, no, no. See, I don't like that first option. I'm gonna have to go with the second.
the
With the
second one,
I don't
yeah,
like that second option.
we beat them so bad that their backups and our backups are on the field. Or well, their
Yeah.
backups probably wouldn't be either way, but maybe ours can be. I don't know. Either way, I don't think that's a realistic scenario in this
No,
game.
it's definitely not. But
But yeah, it's fun to speculate. But I mean, yeah, we kind of like I don't know. We kind of started talking about it, and then we kind of went back towards Ohio State. But Penn State, I mean, storylines aside, like, that's kind of hard to say in this game because there's really a lot on the line. But Penn State also, I think, is coming off a couple dominant weeks, and I don't know. I mean, like, can Rutgers like pull this one out? I mean, I thought there probably could be a chance, but the way Penn State's playing, like, it's going to be an uphill battle. I mean, it looks like they put together their best game of the season against Nebraska on both sides of the ball. They
Yeah,
played really
they just
well.
unraveled Nebraska.
Yeah, they played really well
Also,
on defense and on offense. They played a really clean game. They played, both Singleton and Allen set different rushing records for them. Singleton, tied Saquon Barkley's rushing touchdown record. Allen had 25 carries for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Ethan Grunkemeyer played a clean game, only throwing 12 passes, but he was 11 for 12 on those. He had 181 yards. It's not like he was no slouch in
but
the
that's
passing
but
game. They
that's
just didn't
that's
tend to
the
go
key
to it.
though. That's the key though. You want to win this game, you have to make Grunkemeyer beat you.
Yeah, you have
You
to
know,
make him throw it because Penn State. I mean, the way that the rush defense has been. I mean, they're gonna be attacking that because I mean, even Maryland attacked every team attacked it. So they're gonna be, especially with the running backs like Nick Singleton, Katron Allen. I mean, we saw them in 22, and they're still here, but as seniors now. But those guys are gonna be on the ground trying to gash the Rutgers defense, extend drives, just try to win the game like that. So yeah, Rutgers is gonna have to shut that down, force Grunkemeyer to beat you through the air. I mean, they have receivers this year. So I mean there is that, but they haven't really been the most productive receivers. So I mean that's definitely the way to go. And then on defense, I mean, with the Rutgers offense, they gotta put some points on the board too, because Penn State's I'm sure gonna score a bit. So Rutgers gonna have to find a way to score. Move the ball on the Penn State defense, which is talented as heck, but I mean they've also not always shown it. So I mean there's a chance Rutgers can get some stuff going. I don't know. I mean it's going to be an interesting game for sure. Like from a schematic standpoint, yeah, it's going to be in terms of stopping Penn State's run. Basically, is going to be key for that. On the other side of the
yeah,
ball, I
I was
don't I
gonna
don't really
say
know honestly. Try to move the ball the best you can. Um, you should be able to, but there's also the chance that Penn State's vaunted defensive front shows up and tries to wreak havoc on the game. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, like,
you gotta. Well,
uh,
at the end of the day, you have to find a way to limit the run. Like,
yeah,
first
I
of
think
all,
that's the key thing here, to try to limit their run game and then force their pass to be more effective. Then there's always a chance that that if you could do that, then you can get them off the field, hopefully,
but
and
that is a
then
much easier said than done task. Like,
yeah,
first of
exactly.
all, we don't have to worry about Grunkemeyer taking off because the man has cinder blocks tied to his feet with the way he runs.
That's great.
On the season, he has like negative 23 rushing yards or
Wow.
something like that. So
Okay.
he truly does not take off at all. Like I said, he runs on two cinder blocks. But so in all honesty, well, first of all, it's not like they were dedicating anything to stop the QB run anyway. But now it's like now you don't really have to worry about that. Key in on the run and find a way to shut it down.
Right.
If you have to leave some one-on-one coverages in the secondary, fine, so be it. Penn State's biggest knock for the longest time was they had no receivers.
Yeah.
Um, they're not that much better this year, and then you have a backup quarterback throwing to them, so
Right.
you can't worry about the passing game beating you. You have to stop the run, and on the other side, you have three NFL caliber wide receivers. You
Yeah.
should be able to score. That
Yeah.
is a no excuse scenario.
Yeah, I mean, again, Ohio State's one thing, but against most other teams, you should be able to score with three NFL wide receivers on the same team. A running back who's really good in Raymond that maybe could end up in the NFL as well, like in a couple years. So, yeah, I mean, it's which one's going to work against Penn State? I mean,
And
that's
this
that's
is the
that's
last
going to be
game
the
of the
question,
season. This is the last game of the season if you don't make a bowl game.
right?
So throw everything at them. Those trick plays that you threw in practice in the middle of the summer, dig those back out.
Yeah,
Hit them with something that they're not expecting. Find a way to win. Leave nothing out on the field. That's like my whole thing. Find a way to find some trickery. Do something. Don't do something that they're not ready for, and throw it at them just to, give us a fighting chance.
Right, right. I agree. Yeah, I mean, offense got to be able to move the ball. Again, like I just don't know against Penn State, like what they're more, what can really get them more. Is it the run or the pass? I would assume maybe the pass, probably.
Well,
I
the
don't know. We'll
Penn
see.
State's not bad. Penn State's there's no weakness to the
That's
Penn
true on their
State
defense.
defense,
Yeah, there's no like real like we could run the ball.
but there's
You
a
know,
strength to ours. So
yeah, I mean, for them, it's more kind of simplistic. Where their go-to will probably be run the ball, both because our run defense has been really bad, and also because their running backs have been pretty good, probably better than what we've seen a lot of the weeks. And we've still struggled with it. So that's
yeah,
their side. Our side of it is, yeah, I mean, maybe a balanced. You probably have to balance that. I mean, you have to use the pass to open up the run. You have to use the run to open up the pass. You have to mix it up, keep them guessing because Penn State, they still have really good edge rushers. They still have really good players in the secondary. They still have a lot of talent. It's not like they don't. So you got to still attack them balanced. But if they do that, then I think they should be able to move the ball. But to an extent, they're not going to be able to like walk all over them. So it's a matter of how much can they score, and is that going to be enough to dictate the game on their own terms, or is Penn State going to be able to dictate the game because they're going to have sustained running drives and force Rutgers to kind of play from behind? So that's going to be like what the question is, I guess. Can Rutgers score enough to play the game on their own terms? But I don't know. We shall see. I guess it's going to be tough, but not impossible with these receivers. And I'm sure they can. They can find a way to move the ball a little bit, but it's going to be a question of how much
yeah.
because they're going to need probably at least 20 points because the way Penn State
Oh,
can move the ball. I mean, yeah,
28 at least.
yeah,
28 at least, I would say.
yeah, exactly. So that's gonna be a tall order,
But
honestly. But yeah,
it's all about which team could drag the other one into playing its sort of game. If we get dragged into this like long protracted like fight, um, on the ground,
right,
ugly,
yeah,
whatever, low scoring, Penn State's gonna win. If we could drag them into a 35 point,
shootout type game.
shootout, I will take
Then
us any day in that.
yeah, because then they have to rely on Grunkemeyer in the pass game, which hasn't all been that great. And suddenly the pass defense isn't allowing that. They're not breaking down in coverage. They're not, embarrassing themselves. Like, suddenly the pass defense is like starting to hold up a bit, and they're starting to get pressure. There's a lot of different things are going right on that front. So they're suddenly. You can kind of almost trust that side if it comes down to that to do what they're supposed to do. Rush, maybe if not rush the pass, or at least defend the pass pretty well down the field and make Penn State work for it underneath. Like those types of things, like me, they should be able to do if it gets to a shootout. But yeah, they're gonna have to score a lot of points, to get to that spot. You're right. If Penn State it ends up being like a ground game slugfest type thing, the Nittany Lions probably will have it. But if it ends up being, if Rutgers can somehow score a lot of points and put the game in Grunkemeier's hands and the pass offense, then I would take us to be able to win that shootout, especially now that the defense isn't giving up big plays in the pass game, and suddenly like they have some semblance of a pass rush too, and so which is favors us. So we'll see, and I don't know how hopefully it gets into that second one, and it would be
Yeah.
nice for Rutgers to have one game where the pass rush can kind of pin their ears back and come to life, because that means the crowd will get into it, and I mean a home crowd at SHI that would probably help us in that facet if it becomes one of those situations where the Rutgers home crowd can kind of give them the edge. I'm sure there will be, like I said, probably a decent amount of Penn State fans there too, but that stadium does get loud. So I mean, if it becomes
First
that
of all,
situation,
don't
I
let them
think
take over our stadium. Like, don't let them, like, just
yeah,
go
I'm,
through
I'm
the
afraid that,
game.
that I don't know, but there's just a lot for us to play for too. So I mean, I don't know if they're gonna take over the stadium, but I do have a feeling that there will be a lot of Penn State fans there. It's just we need to get our fans there in numbers as well. Obviously, we need to have at least some semblance of a home field advantage, and it's Thanksgiving weekend, but I'm sure that's not going to stop. A lot of students I'm sure will still be there. A lot of the rest of the fans will still be there. So, yeah, don't let Penn State fans take over because, again, they're not that far away. A lot of them live closer than Penn State to here, whether it's Eastern PA or Jersey itself. So yeah, we gotta hold on to that home field. And like I said, yeah, I mean, if it becomes that kind of shootout game, hopefully we can rely on that crowd for, because that's when it gets fun, when it's those passing situations, third downs, pin your ears back, let the guys go to
Yeah.
work. It would be so much fun to see something like that after we haven't had that all year. But if it becomes Penn State runs the ball for like God knows how many yards type thing, like it's going to be a long day then it becomes the pressure is on the Rutgers offense to match, and that's going to be tough. Then the Penn State defense can start playing, playing up to their talent level and making your life hell for Rutgers. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't become that one, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. It makes me a little nervous because Penn State suddenly is playing really good football, and Rutgers, I mean, they're playing decent football too, but I don't know. Like when Penn State's kind of finally they're playing up to where they kind of should have been, playing almost being a team like Indiana, and then Michigan State they kind of didn't look too good, but they still got the win. And then this game they absolutely walked Nebraska. So I mean, Katron Allen is an absolute beast. I mean, he's had 181 yards against MSU, and then he had 160 yards against Nebraska. I mean, that really worries me about what they're gonna do with us. Like I said, it feels like their game plan is gonna be pretty clear. So I mean, suddenly all of that is kind of worrying me a little bit. But I just don't want to get blown out. I mean, I want Rutgers to at the very least
Well,
play.
obviously,
You want to win the game, you want to go to a bowl, but the worst thing, you definitely don't want to get embarrassed off the field. Not this year. Like this year, at the very least, you want to play a competitive game and you want to be in the game. So, and like Greg Schiano said, you want to take the game to the fourth quarter, like against Ohio State, and then anything can happen. So, if Rutgers can be in the game in the fourth quarter with Penn State, and then anything can happen. So, I mean, I'm hoping for something like that. I mean, this should not be a year where Penn State gets to run the score up against us. I really hope something like that doesn't happen at the very least. So, but we'll see. I mean, getting a win's a tall order, but at the same time, it's not as tall as it usually is when it's a Rutgers Penn State matchup. So, I mean, there's definitely a chance that Rutgers wins. They're just gonna have to play like their A game, and Penn State's probably gonna have to play like a C game or at least maybe like a B- game. But it's it's definitely doable. There's no reason why Rutgers should get run off the field this year. But there's still like that outside chance that does happen though, which kind of just scared me like a little bit. But I don't think that should happen this year. I think Rutgers will have the opportunity to compete in this game, especially after the way last week went.
Yeah, I agree. We're just gonna go and kind of like segue over to basketball. I feel like there's no other points that we haven't made like three or four times on football.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get to that point where we've kind of summed it up. So yeah, I mean, let's go on to the basketball. A lot going on this week, in terms of the Players Era tournament, in terms of the last game against Central Connecticut, as well. Obviously, devastating loss to them, and now kind of puts the whole season into
stop with the devastating loss. Stop, because it's not a devastating loss. A devastating loss is when you take a team like Michigan State in a triple overtime and lose, and lose on a buzzer beater shot. It's an embarrassing loss. Embarrassing.
Yeah,
I was reading some of the comments on our site where it was like, oh, you should have expected this. No. Listen, I understand, like, you want to talk about NIL and whatever. There is not a shot in the dark that CCSU has a better NIL program.
Yeah.
And if we do, I'm sorry, it's time to close up shop. Because if we are getting outproduced by an athletic department that isn't even, I guess, number 3 in their state,
yeah,
then I'm sorry. It's time to close up shop and stop focusing on athletics in general. Because if we're actually getting that beat in NIL by that program, and we're not. So
yeah, we're definitely not. I mean, it's
NIL is not a freaking excuse.
Not for that game, no. Yeah, definitely not.
No, like
I mean,
I
come
don't even know
on.
what to say. It's like
It's just we got out like executed in like every facet of the game, and rebounding and shooting and free throw shooting and 3-point shooting and 2-point shooting. I mean, like
we got
out
beat in every single
every
facet besides defensive rebounds. Every
yeah, we
single one.
got outscored, out
Against
assisted, out rebound, outshot. I mean, like yeah, everything. I mean, just the shots that we were giving up, like open threes like galore for they were just always they always had a guy open. I mean, it was just they Rutgers just could not guard the 3-pointer, and they cashed in. I mean, they had multiple scorers like Darren Smith at 21, Max Frazier at 14 points and 13 boards, Jay Rogers the guard at 15 and 9 assists, so he true point guard there. But I mean, like they just I mean, on one hand they were getting those types of threes, on the other hand they were attacking the rim. There was all these like alley oops with nobody there either. So it was like one of those games. And even when they drove to the rim, they were able to beat Rutgers, on layups and stuff like that as well. So it's just, and then Rutgers, the shot quality was so horrible at the end of the game. They were basically, they couldn't really get to the rim. They were like chucking up threes that weren't good looks, and of course they weren't making them. And CCSU just like pulled away. So it's just like, I don't know. I mean, that's just not good basketball. You need like better sets. You need better execution. You can't be throwing up 3-pointers like that, especially if you can't shoot them very well in the first place. Like that just wasn't. It just wasn't good. Like there's just no
I
other
just
way to say
I,
that.
I just don't like the blasé attitude when it comes to how bad this is, you know, or I just the
Yeah,
one
it's
the one thing
frustrating.
that, especially in my opinion, you did this last year against Kennesaw State in Game 5. You did the exact same thing.
Yeah,
You do it again. In my opinion, I don't run an athletic department. That's an immediate firing. Like that is literally a pack your bags, get out. You
yeah.
know,
Especially when it
I mean,
happens multiple times. Like like I don't know.
I just like I don't even know how else to. Certainly there's no way Pike survives the year short of a tournament run. No way, no way that Pike survives the year. And I don't like saying that. I think Pike is a good coach.
Mhm.
you know,
Right,
I'm not exactly one of those people that wants to see him fired either. You know,
right.
I'm not one of those people that like is a Peichel hater and whatnot. That's just
Hmm.
always going to root against him no matter what he does.
Right. Me neither. Yeah.
But you can't lose to Central Connecticut State. It's not like, oh, you shouldn't lose to that team. It is a you cannot.
Cannot. Yeah. There's
You
just
know,
no. There's like no choice. Like I mean, yeah. You're right. You just can't lose to them. Like it's
you
just
want to talk. You want to talk about money. Then, no offense, to I guess not even no offense, but to Peichel, you know, Shiano kept his team afloat and didn't. You want to compare Shiano and Peichel? Did Shiano get run off the field by Ohio? Did Norfolk State come in here and obliterate us? No,
right.
no. You know, you want to talk about like, oh, people think that Peichel is a better coach than Shiano. Shiano does not lose those games, and
That's
you
true.
cannot call him a better coach if you lose those games. You
Yeah.
cannot,
You're right.
because
I mean,
your record is who you are.
yeah. Because as bad as Rutgers football is, and as frustrating as they are, they. I
They
hate to say
take care of
this.
the non-con.
It makes me like upset to say this because I use this against Rutgers football a lot because it's frustrating, but they do not lose the games that they don't usually win games that they're not supposed to. They're like a Penn State in that way. They also don't lose the games that they're not supposed to lose to. They sometimes they make it ugly and they almost do, and that's frustrating too. But at least they don't lose. They find ways to win. They take
And
care of
more
business. They
importantly,
give themselves a chance. And but Rutgers basketball is eliminating themselves before the big games even start by having these Q4 landmines and
but they don't.
you know
It's not that they don't lose. You know, they
yeah.
don't get absolutely ran off the
Right, and
court. Like,
there's a difference between losing like on a buzzer beater in that game and then, like losing a 1-possession game, or getting run off the court. Like Rutgers basketball not only lost, but they got run off the court by Central
They got
Connecticut, beaten every statistic. Yeah,
dominated.
I mean, it was they were no joke the better team. And the worst part is, like, people, like, we might think that game just looked bad and it was a one-off. Like, people will be like, oh, whatever. But the thing is, if you watched all the other games this season, that's not the case. If, like, you saw the way they could not put away teams like Maine and Lehigh and American, and the way those teams got off to leads. And even when Rutgers got the lead, those teams hung around. And in the final minute, like, teams that were behind, like, they still hung around and they fought, like, like they cut the lead. It's like, why is this so close? Because the reason that these games are so close is because Rutgers had some issues that those teams just weren't able to take advantage of for whatever reason. But, I mean, they had issues with the pace, they had issues with the shooting, with the defense, so a lot of things. But Central Connecticut was able to take advantage of it. But it's just like, this was not really so big of a surprise to people who watched the team through the first 4 games. And the only blowout win they had was Ryder, and Ryder is like probably one of the worst teams in KenPom in the entire country. So it's just, this is really, like, that's the worst part, that it wasn't a one-off. That just showed that this team has serious flaws. And now the schedule gets tougher, and every team's going to be able to expose those flaws, like, coming up. Not just, it's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better, because Tennessee, Notre Dame,
I don't think it's getting better.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, now we go into Vegas. I mean, Tennessee 1 p.m. today, Notre Dame tomorrow at 1, Purdue, number 1 team in the country, Michigan on the road, 7th ranked in the country. Road game against Seton Hall. That's a big one. Who knows? Maybe we find a way to win that one, because I don't know how good they are either. But we don't look good. So I mean, who knows? And then after that, home games against Penn State to the non-conference. So hopefully you tack on 2 more wins, because after that, Big Ten play starts for real. So I mean, yeah, it's just, it doesn't look good. I mean, I guess there was just some hope that this team would maybe not be better, but not be like worse, like not be significantly worse, because they play Pico basketball, they defend well, things like that. But like, it just doesn't really feel like that's the case, like, either. So you know what I mean?
I mean, they haven't been defending well. The 3-point,
They
they have
really have
not.
not. I mean, all these
They
scores
have
are
not defended
high.
well.
Like, I mean, even Maine, like, that was out of the game. They scored 60, Lehigh 72, American 71, CCSU 67. Like, we're going above the the famous the Pico speed limit of 65 here in the non-conference games in all three of the last games, basically.
And
So they really have not been defending well, and that's their identity.
on top of that,
Yeah.
on top of that, if you're going to bring in the argument of like, oh, this isn't like, with the constant turnover of, I guess the free agency of the transfer portal and, NIL and whatever, you're going to bring over the constant like turnover.
Right.
It does not matter at the end of the day. You need to be able to build a competitive team despite not being in your ideal conditions. It does.
Right.
At the end of the day, what matters? The W's and the L's. It does not matter.
Yeah, I agree, because I mean, you're right. Yeah.
If Pikel's out of his element, and if Pikel is out of his element, bye.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe this isn't the right. Like, he did what it feels like, he made the tournament, like, in the first 4 a couple of times. It feels like it's gotten worse and worse every year since then. Like, teams gotten worse. I mean, last year they couldn't do much with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, which I just don't even know if that's possible. And this year, like, the team, it's like, I guess the argument that people wanted to make was, okay, well, this team can't be that much worse than them. The problem is, no, this team probably, the only reason they were even that good last year is because of Bailey and Harper.
Well, I don't think people were like, this team can't be much worse than them. I feel like people coming into this season, those of us with reasonable and tempered expectations, expected a complete bottoming out.
I guess, but I mean, I guess the hope was, well, hopefully they're not that much worse than this embarrassment. But like, I guess the problem is, like, like, because of Bailey and Harper, they were that good, and without them, they're probably going to be like this much worse. So they didn't get that, they didn't have, or they don't seem to have that, like, without that kind of offensive talent, you need everything else to make up for it. You need really good players elsewhere. You need really good shooting, rebounding, which they have, like, a lot of the things on paper in a way, but it's just, there's that chemistry and the consistency and the defensive effort and the shooting, like none of it's really there. So like that's kind of what the problem is, I guess. It's not really there in any kind of real way. I mean, again, like just like last year, it feels like there's a couple players that are probably pretty good. Like Francis is probably going to be, he can score the basketball no matter what level it is, whether it's at NJIT or at Rutgers. Like, maybe people doubted it because of his size, but he could definitely score. Badalao, I think he's good for, contributing on a daily basis. Agbole's, I think, improved quite a bit. I mean, he's starting to get better
Well,
at rebounds and stuff like
if
that.
you're Emmanuel Agbola, you're talking about improvement. What did you have to improve on from last year?
Yeah, but like
literally everything.
He finally looks like he's like a competent center that's doing what centers are supposed to do, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, but really, other than Dylan Grant and Tariq Francis, like, where are you getting your buckets from? Like, I don't, Battle like is kind of the third guy, but he's kind of hot and cold. Like, I don't know, none of the rest of the team is really ready to go, like on most of these days, like at all. So I mean, like, Zerno is like a sharpshooter. You might be good for a 3 a game. I mean, the other guys, like, bringing in the freshman lineup, you just don't know what you're going to get out of anybody. And Jamichael Davis can't really score the basketball that consistently that well. Battle out, like, again, it's basically 3 or 4 players, and even out of those 2, it's really 2 that can probably get you buckets on any given night, which is Tariq Francis and Dylan Grant. And with the team not being able to defend that well, and Darren Buchanan, I think, is another guy who can contribute as well. Although he didn't too much last game, overall he's pretty decent, but you just can't have that kind of offensive output and then on defense be so bad. I mean, Peichel was saying during the press conference, he brought in his freshman lineup to bring in energy, and that's just unacceptable that the veterans on this team can't bring energy to a game where they're losing. And the freshmen have to be the guys who bring in the energy and do it well. I mean, that's just unacceptable. Like, I mean, I don't know what that says about the players, what that says about Peichel, but like that's unacceptable that even needed to be the situation in the first place.
Yeah, and especially when considering the Players Era tournament is coming up, we could be very quickly looking at an absolute disaster going on inside Jersey Mike's arena.
Or outside of Jersey Mike's, I guess, in this case. But
yeah, I guess in that case. But yeah.
Yeah, all the way on the other side of the country in Las Vegas, which it's fun though. I mean, hopefully, they can turn things around, or if not, at least they'll be in the spotlight. Last year these games were late at night. This year they're also, I feel like maybe not later in the week, but they were later in the day. This time we kind of have the early slot, but maybe that's for the better, honestly, because having Rutgers in the primetime window probably wouldn't be the best look the way that they've been playing so far this season. But either way, they still got good teams to play. They're still in Vegas. Yeah, I mean, let's see how it goes. Let's see if they can pull in. Let's see if they can pull an upset. I mean, I don't know. Like, I was wondering if maybe like Rutgers was looking ahead to Las Vegas or something. Like, even Peichel was like, I'm not sure where my players' heads were at, if they're already in Las Vegas or not. But like, hope maybe they were looking.
That's also unacceptable.
Like, it is, but
that's
like,
also unacceptable.
It is unacceptable. But like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's really like all the case though, because you know what I mean. Like, if they were completely overlooking CCSU, that's a big problem, first of all, because that's not a bad team. And second of all, if they were looking ahead to Vegas, that's also a problem. But if somehow they come out like guns blazing in Vegas, then you could chalk it up to that. But I don't think it was really.
It's not going to happen.
I don't think it was really. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't because of that. I think it was just a lot, maybe a little bit, but I think it had a lot more to do with the lack of talent and the lack of execution. And against a team like Tennessee, like that's ranked 20th in the country. That's going to be a bit of a problem. So I mean, that doesn't bode too well for the Scarlet Knights.
Well, like I said, I personally think that that a disaster is very quickly forming.
Yeah.
Inside, or I guess outside Jersey Mike's arena.
Yeah.
One other team that plays their games at the JMA also has not looked too hot recently, and that is women's basketball. They lost in a slugfest to Auburn, 51-46 was the score. I mean, you're talking about a 12-minute scoring drought where you didn't get a single bucket. I mean, you didn't give up that much, but to not hit a single bucket in 12 minutes throughout that game,
Right. Yeah, that didn't.
ugly.
Not great. And they kind of also they dug themselves out of that hole too, and they also made it close at the end too,
Well,
which but
they dug themselves out, but by that point their defense started to relent, I guess, or
yeah,
their defense started to give way. And at that point, first of all, you should never have dug yourself in that big a hole.
no.
Number two, you should never have gone 12 minutes without scoring. And
Yeah.
then number three, yeah, when the comeback starts,
Mm-hmm.
but the defense is just like they're going to score eventually. The
Right.
other team is
Right.
going to score eventually. And if you just leave points on the board and leave points on the board and leave points on the board, they're going to find a way to navigate through your defense and find a way to get points themselves. I don't care which opponent it is. Against another power four opponent, absolutely that's going to happen.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean that is so true, honestly. And for Rutgers women's basketball, like I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the same idea as the men's, but like a little bit different. I feel like there's probably less expectations and also the chance to do better. They've also been in some fights with some good mid majors. Like they lost to Stony Brook, which is kind of a bit of the disappointing one, kind of matching the men's one there. But then they rebounded against a good Rhode Island team that, by the way, just beat number 16 NC State in their own building yesterday. So there's that. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right, because like I mean I could see it. Like it's just they were not hitting shots. We were there. I mean they were not hitting threes in the game against us, but with all of it looks like they were able to in this game. So yeah, I mean that's a big performance for Rhode Island. Then against FDU also, that was a game where FDU's made the tournament and stuff like that, but against the high majors they've tended to struggle. Not against Rutgers. I mean they were in that game for a good 3 quarters before Rutgers finally pulled away at the end. So they've kind of been in these games. I mean Zakar Perkins has played well. Nene Ndiaye has played very well. Ivy and Lester, but it's just like
It's
they've kind of,
Njai.
yeah, on Najai, yeah, on the name
Yeah.
Najai, right. But yeah, they've been in these games against mid majors, and they've been able to win them. Quinnipiac, another good one that they were able to take down, except for one, they lost to Stony Brook. But against Auburn, yeah, you can't go 10 minutes without scoring a basket. I mean, that's just unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll see how they respond. I mean, now they come back home starting today. They have a kind of a busy week, even during the holidays. Like Siena, who has not won a game this season, they've not looked very good in the process. They haven't really scored a lot. They haven't defended well. So this could be a nice opportunity for Rutgers to really bounce back. After that, they have Northeastern, another team that hasn't really been doing all that hot, honestly. So I mean, yeah, I mean, hopefully a couple opportunities for some wins, although I think Northeastern's a little bit better, but not too much. And then St. Peter's as well, another in-state school. That team's also been struggling too. I mean, like looking at these scores, I mean, they lost 88-39 to Seton Hall, and 81-33 against NJIT, who I guess is supposed to be rolling this year. I don't know. They look pretty good, but that's just a lopsided score. They lost. NJIT now lost 88-39 to Minnesota. So that just women's basketball is a really weird like relative sport. Like when you see the NCAA tournament first round, a lot of blowouts. But I mean, if St.
Yeah.
Peter's is losing to a team like NJIT, who's losing to Minnesota 88-39, and they're losing to them 81-33, like from 88-39 to 81-33, like that just doesn't really bode well for these teams against Rutgers. So it should be a good opportunity for them to bounce back this week. Monday, Siena at 7 p.m. at JMA. Friday, Northeastern.
Today at 7.
Yeah, today is the Siena game. So they're back in Jersey. You check them out, I guess, if you want to. And then Northeastern on Friday, St. Peter's on Sunday, kind of sandwiching our big Penn State game at SHI. So, yeah, and then the next week, though, schedule gets real because Iowa conference opener, they're 19th in the country, coming to JMA the following Saturday, and then on the road at Princeton, who's beaten Rutgers in 3 straight matchups. So yeah, a couple big games coming up after that. So hopefully, yeah, I mean Rutgers is their second homestand now of the season, and a good chance for Rutgers to tack on some more wins, get back into the win column, and give themselves I guess, a fighting chance going into Big Ten play, because once that happens, like, things are about to get real. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got for women's basketball this week.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they can kind of turn it around after having an ugly game against Auburn. Need more out of that offense, but that pretty much does it for everything that we have here today. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. If you really enjoy our podcast, give us a 5-star on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really does help us out. But again, thank you guys so much for listening. And remember, as always, that the bells must ring.